NFL record for the worst completion percentage. This is a game you need to win. This is a divisional matchup against a team you should beat. This is how you stack up wins. Hello and welcome back to i75Live. We are on episode 18, a special Thanksgiving episode.
Yes, sir.
This week, Turkey Day, yes. Big football games. We got 3 games on Thanksgiving. It's always fun.
Got a Black Friday game.
Black Friday game this for the first time ever, I believe.
I think they've done it once before.
Okay.
I think. But,
So yeah, Black Friday. A lot of football on this weekend. A lot of great college football games this past weekend and going into this that will, I think,
huge playoff implications in the games last week.
Yes. So I want to get right into college football, though. There were, again, some huge SEC just continues to prove us all right and wrong, I think, at the same time with how competitive it is. Oklahoma, I think, really just beat Alabama.
They destroyed Alabama.
And another thing about some is how difficult we have mentioned and how of playing on the road in the SEC. All these teams who are losing these big games, it's all they're on the road. Yeah. So yes, Alabama loses to Oklahoma.
Miller threw 3 interceptions that game.
He did not play.
We weren't able to move the ball at all.
No.
But 3 points.
I know they had a big touchdown kind of taken away by a penalty that people were complaining about, but ultimately I don't think it was going to matter.
Still would have won the game.
But yeah, Oklahoma, they. I mean, it's just SEC, man. I don't know what else to say.
Same thing with this next game.
Yeah, Auburn beating Texas A&M.
Yeah. Both of these games, the SEC just handed not the SEC championship, but a spot in the SEC championship right to Georgia.
Yeah.
Like, here, take this.
Yeah, that was the other thing is now, like you said, they hold the tiebreaker over Tennessee.
Those are the only 2 teams that that only have 2 losses besides, obviously, Texas, who still has to play. What do they play? A&M this week?
Yes. But, I mean, Tennessee, I think, Georgia was able to beat Tennessee. Again, they were at home over Georgia. Those games seem to go whoever's the home. But Georgia in the SEC championship, it does feel right. I do think they deserve it. They've had a very hard schedule.
I know
their quarterback hasn't played the best. He's gotten a lot of criticism, as you have been one of his, which I think is all valid, and he's earned it. But yeah, I mean, Georgia, Texas, it's going to be, if it all works out and they win out, Texas wins, they beat Texas A&M. Georgia wins out. I know they play Georgia Tech this week, which has always been a very competitive, close game. Georgia Tech has played pretty good this year, above average.
They already have 1 upset under their belt.
So who knows?
2, technically.
Who really knows? I'm looking forward to it. I know Jake, when that video that when they stormed the field at Georgia Tech, he'll be there. So maybe we could get a 2.0 storm the field. That'd be kind of fun. But I'm excited to see if everything goes the way it's supposed to. A Texas-Georgia rematch in Atlanta would be a hell of a game.
I feel nervous for that game. I think Texas definitely comes out looking a lot better than they did the first time they played. And I don't want to say who wins that game. I think it's really close, though. Really close. It's kind of not... Obviously, I'm a Georgia fan, but having the SEC championship game in Georgia, yes, it's away from Athens. It's like 2 hours away, but still, that's like...
I agree.
It's almost primarily, unless it's Alabama that also makes it to the SEC championship, it's mostly Georgia fans.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a home game.
I'm sure if Texas does make it, they'll travel well, and they'll be... I wouldn't say 50-50, but there will be a good bit of time. But yeah, I do. It feels like a home game every time they play in the Benz. The other game that I was a little bit disappointed to see, which, I mean, they lost, I think, fair and square. The other team had almost 300 rushing yards, was Colorado.
Ridiculous, yeah.
I really, really wanted to see them win out.
Kansas, was it 3 straight weeks where they upset a ranked team? They're the first team ever to do that.
Yeah.
It's just Colorado got caught up in history a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, they look good. I mean, kind of. They weren't able to score. They couldn't keep up with Kansas.
Well, I mean, they couldn't stop the run to save their life. I mean, Kansas, like I mentioned, they had close to 300 rushing yards, and I don't care who you are. If you let that happen, you're going to lose.
The good thing, I mean, kind of the good thing for them is BYU lost as well. But for both teams, they both need help to get into the Big 12 championship now. Right now, the matchup is Arizona State versus Iowa State, which is very lackluster matchup. Yeah. I don't think I think either of those teams really have the same fate if they make it into the playoffs. Just getting knocked out.
And probably the way that Colorado played and the way that they got exposed on defense, it probably would happen to Colorado too. I just still think it'd be a better storyline going into it. Yeah. Having Travis Hunter, having all these big names. Yeah. That's just me. The next one, though, Indiana loses to Ohio State. This one, to me, it played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out. Yeah. Indiana came out first drive. They looked pretty good, scored a touchdown, and it was like, oh, crap. Like, Indiana's legit. And then Ohio State was able to just... But and to me, Indiana, they got the lead. And I don't want to say they were playing not to lose the game because it was still the first quarter. But they tried way, way, way too long to establish a run game. Maybe it's because they couldn't pass the ball or they didn't feel comfortable enough or whatever the case may be. It just felt like they were trying way too hard, and then all of a sudden it was, we're down by 3 scores. Now we have to start throwing the ball.
Yeah, now we got to start moving the ball down the field instead of just playing for field goals and punts. I still think they should make the playoffs if they win out, but I don't know. It's just something feels off about this. I don't know. They've been saying it about Indiana all year, and I think now they finally have the loss, even if it's second team in the country, second ranked team in the country. So I don't think there's any reason if they win this last game that they should be out of the playoffs. Yeah, I get it. They missed out on the Big Ten championship, but it just I have a bad feeling that the committee is going to find a way to leave Indiana out, and it's going to be the same story all over again. Normally, there's with the 4-team playoff, we've seen one team get left out that probably should have been in. It's going to be the same story just with the 13th team.
And unfortunately, I think it's always going to happen. Yeah. Unless we just have a 24-team playoff. And
I'm here for it. Let's do it.
This is true.
Run it.
But Indiana losing, I wasn't surprised. I think Ohio State is a little overrated. I don't think they're as good as that score says.
I don't think they're I don't think they're as good as any of the top SEC teams.
I would agree. If it was really up to me, I'd have the whole SEC just battle it out for the championship.
SEC should have their own playoffs, and then the rest of college football gets this one.
I agree.
You would probably still figure out who the best team in college football is.
I agree.
And then the winner of those 2 tournaments play each other.
Yeah.
And then the SEC team wins like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. Call a little bit of college basketball.
My school.
Your school.
Man, they stormed the court after this. Oh, my God. Kennesaw State just continues to find its way into headlines. Whether it's letting go your head coach for football and then putting his job on LinkedIn right after the game and him finding out that way, or if you're upsetting number 24 Rutgers in basketball. This was crazy. This was super unexpected. I think this is KSU's first ranked win, first ever. And I think it's still very early in the season, but they're at a 5-1 start. It's possible they could make another March Madness tournament. And they just made their first one, I think, like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and then their coach passed away.
Yeah, their coach, he left for Georgia Tech, and then, or he was the other way around. He came here from Georgia Tech, and then he left again, and he was the coach at USF, and then he passed away a few weeks ago. Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's the upset Rutgers. It just 79-77 dominated them on the rebounds. That was the one thing I saw out of the game. That was why they won. And Kennesaw State has a fun basketball team. You may be hearing about them more in the future. It'd
be cool. It'd be a little hometown. Your
Kennesaw's on the rise. We are slowly going up in the ranks. I mean, a few years ago, no one had heard of us. We weren't playing D1 anything. Now we are. Yeah. So, baby steps.
We will see. It's going to be fun to watch. MLB has announced all of their big awards.
Yeah, all their season awards.
No surprise, Aaron Judge, AL, MVP. I think this is great and this is cool, but like we kind of said,
it's a regular
Aaron Judge now has this aura around him to where it's cool. You can hit all these home runs. You can do all this. You've got to put it together in the playoffs. And until you do that, I just don't care how many home runs you hit in the regular season.
No, unfortunately, that's the story.
It is well deserved, though. I will say that.
I mean, obviously, the voters agree with you. This is, I think, I don't know if this was strictly said, but this is back-to-back years with 2 unanimous MVPs. And Shohei is the other one in the National League. 50 home runs, 50 steal season.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. First time a full-time DH has ever won MVP.
Yeah.
And we forget that he's going to be pitching next year.
Do you think he does?
Oh, he's going to pitch. He's going to pitch.
Okay.
And I think the Dodgers, like we said this a few weeks ago, after the Dodgers won the World Series, this could be the next baseball dynasty. Yeah. Maybe the first time we've seen a baseball dynasty, because like it's looking back, I don't think you've ever had a team win back to back to back.
Yeah.
But even winning 2 in a row is damn near impossible. Sometimes it happens, very rarely.
Yeah.
But the Dodgers are just loaded. And we'll see where Juan Soto ends up, because he's still up in the air.
Did you see the video that he posted about announcing, and it was like it was announcing to Celsius, like there were like mics, and he like put on a Celsius. Everyone was like, "Oh, awesome. He's gonna pick a team." I saw that this morning, so I thought he's kind of trolling everyone, of knowing that everyone's kind of waiting to decide.
Yeah.
But yeah, Juan Soto, I think if he goes, I would love to see him back at the Yankees, because I think he fit in there, and they obviously had a very good team.
The Mets are could be another.
Doesn't surprise me. They got a lot of money to spend, so that doesn't surprise. I've heard the Cubs were in the mix. I haven't heard anything. The Braves,
Jays,
which
apparently.
The Braves, I mean, we need outfielders. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Paying all that type of money, though, I don't think we will.
He's worth it, though.
Yes,
but
I would.
Sources are saying
agree.
He's going to be demanding like 600 to 700 million.
It's going to be something crazy.
Well, for Shohei, that's understandable, because he's giving you everything you can on a baseball field. He's giving you hits, extra base hits, stolen bases, home runs. He's even pitching. And so that money makes sense. But Juan Soto, yes, he may be probably one of the best hitters in our generation, but that's crazy.
He's still
money.
Pretty young too.
He is. He's like 25.
Yeah,
he came into the league when he was like 18. I think.
So he's been I remember thinking like
this is like his 8th year in the league.
Yeah,
7th or 8th year.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
The Cy Youngs though, for the AL, we have Skubal.
Yeah, Tarek Skubal.
No surprises here. He had an amazing year.
I didn't know this. I missed this. Both pitchers won the Triple Crown for their league.
I didn't. That's pretty
both
cool.
Both pitchers, both Skubal for the Tigers and then Chris Sale for the Braves. Both had. Yeah. They led both of their leagues respectively. They led in record, ERA, and strikeouts.
And that's how it should be. It should have been no other.
Every time I actually saw that when I was looking up these stats, that every single time a pitcher has won a Triple Crown, he's won the Cy Young that year.
Yep, that makes sense.
I agree.
To go on Chris Sale, because I know a little bit more just because
35 years old.
This is awesome. But to me, though, it was almost like a waste.
Bittersweet.
Because if we would have had this the last year, when we tied the record for most home runs in a season, and could you imagine how good we would have been if we would have had this on top of all the home runs, all the hits, all Acuna stolen, like everything? Yeah. And then we get this, and it's just like, damn, it was 1 year.
I know. It's hard to line everything up. It
really
sport,
is, and that
baseball specifically.
Yes, I agree, and that's what I was getting at. To where it's just baseball is so, I wouldn't say luck or random.
You got to catch lightning in a bottle. Almost.
You really do. You really do. So it was a little bit bittersweet. I'm happy for him though, because he also won the Comeback Player of the Year. So that was great to see.
It's been like 4 years since he's been healthy. Yeah. Just year after year after year, he's been getting hurt some way or another. And with Skubal, he's just been kind of under the radar. This is his only team. He's only been on Detroit. They brought him up, I want to say like 4 years ago.
In Detroit.
Being a White Sox fan, I remember him making his debut. I think it might even have been against us. But Detroit, just in general, has a really, really big, like good young unit for years to come.
Well, we saw that because they had to win at 20 of their last 30 some odd games just to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, they weren't expecting, they were sellers at the deadline. They got rid of Flaherty went to the Dodgers, and then they got rid of a couple of other people, and then they went on that win streak. Yeah. Just completely out of left field.
Yeah.
So Detroit will be here for a while. I think I think Skubal 100% deserved this. Same with Chris Sale. But moving on to the rookies of the year, 2 pitchers, which one, I didn't pay too much attention to this guy on the Yankees, Luis Gil, but looking at his stats, man, how did we not hear more about this guy?
I agree. I thought the same thing
171 strikeouts, 15 wins.
Yeah. And it makes sense too, because that was able to probably propel them to the World Series with.
He was a big part, because they were missing Cole for an extended period of time. Like all of their starting pitchers went down at some point. I'm pretty sure. So having a guy like this, a rookie of all people, being this consistent,
It's huge for him.
Oh, yeah.
The next one, no surprise, Paul Skeens, Pirates. I think what's cool about him right now is I'm sure everyone's seen the whole Topps, his debut patch rookie card of what they are offering to whoever finds it. Would you take that deal or would you hold on to that card?
I'm not familiar with it.
So he was offered like the Pirates came out and there's this whole list of what they'll offer to whoever gets it if they want to sell it to the Pirates. It's like you get so many signed jerseys, you get like 30 years of behind home plate season tickets. You get to sit with Livy Dunn in her suite for a couple games. So I guess would you do that?
And you have to trade it in.
You have to trade it in. You have to give it to the Pirates.
Just somehow I feel like if I held on to that card, it would be way more valuable than anything that would add up to.
I think so too. But now to say,
especially if you hold on to it until his career's over,
sitting in the box with Livy Dunn would be kind of cool for a couple games.
Cool. You're not doing anything. Yeah, she's dating Paul Skeens.
Paul Skeens while he's throwing 101 down the pipe.
Yeah, her boyfriend's down on the field. Throwing gas, striking out your team's favorite player.
Me personally, I would hold on to it.
Oh, yeah,
and if the Pirates really, really want it, I would just continue to be like, okay, what else you got? Like, let's keep it coming.
Yep.
So, manager of the year, though, to run through these, the Guardians manager, I think this is well deserved. The cheapest roster in baseball, took them to the ALCS.
And they won their division, 92 wins. Yeah, this is his first year as a manager, and he played his last game of baseball like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Which I think, I read this, he's like the fastest player ever to turn manager and win manager of the year. It's unheard of. And like you said, one of the cheapest rosters in baseball.
Yeah.
No one thought that Cleveland was going. Everyone was talking about Minnesota out of that division, the Twins, even the Royals didn't get much. They were still very good, but people were really high on the Twins, and then out come the Guardians. And then people were just like,
well, and the Guardians, they've got some, I would say, some pretty decent big names on that team, and so the talent was there, but to go with the cheapest roster in baseball, like you said, I think it's well deserved. So good for him. I was happy to see that. The NL, the Brewers. This was his first season as a manager as well. They
dealt with a lot of injuries too. And they traded Corbin Burns, and they traded some other guys too. And that was it. Yelich was dealing with some injuries. A lot.
Yelich was out for a lot. I know Contreras had a very good year. He normally deals with injuries. He didn't this year. This one, the two, I can't complain about this.
Disappointing in the playoffs.
It was.
Would they lose to the Mets?
Yeah.
Wild card round.
And it was unfortunate because I'm pretty sure the Brewers and the Mets played like almost 10 times the last month of the season, and then they have to turn around and play each other again at the beginning of the playoffs.
It's a baseball season for you.
That's base. But yes, I think these two guys, well deserved. They did great with what they had, with dealing with injuries. This is what it's all about when it comes to managing teams. Comeback player of the year.
I was surprised to see my team represented on this
list. Was a little bit. I mean, not a shock.
When I think about it, it makes sense. This was is Garrett Crochet, White Sox pitcher, first season as a full-time starter, and first full season back from Tommy John surgery. And he had 209 strikeouts, struck out batters in 35% of his plate appearances, and was dominant all year. His ERA got a little bit up there towards the end of the year, but I don't blame any of that on him. He was pretty much playing hero ball every single time he went out to the mound. He was getting next to no run support ever. I mean, that's just the White Sox for you.
Yeah.
But the other guy, we already mentioned it, Chris Sale, probably no one else more deserving than him.
We traded for a freaking box of chocolates and some cash for this guy, and for him to do what he did this year,
tied the MLB lead with 18 wins, and he led the league in ERA.
And it would have been more too, because there were some games that he pitched that we lost, and he only let up like 2 runs.
Yeah.
To where if he would have, like I mentioned,
he could have like 20,
if he would have played
wins.
a year ago with our team that we had, he goes undefeated with how good he pitched this year. So great to see Chris Sale. I hope
keep him, re-sign
with baseball, it never works out this way, and you can never repeat it. But I hope he can kind of repeat and do this next year when we get a lot of our guys back.
Yeah.
So that will be nice. To start our next segment, first we want to introduce
a little bit of a celebration here.
The man, the myth, the legend. We talk about him a good bit. We bring him up.
Gets mentioned once an episode almost.
At least a couple times to celebrate the Chiefs losing their perfect season.
Was that like 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, the Dolphins fan Chris Coltran himself, my dad, also
producer of the show,
one of the producers of the show, lifelong Dolphins fan. And he is joining us today to talk a little bit about the Dolphins. He's going to chime in a little bit when we get to the NFL. But what is it like to have now still the only team that is to ever go undefeated in a season win the Super Bowl?
Well, first of all, it's great to be here, you guys. It's actually kind of cool to be on this side of the lights.
Yeah, normally you're back there.
Yeah, I know. Normally over there, it looks a lot different on this side. So, listen, to be a Dolphin fan is one of our only joys that we have is to say that we have an undefeated season, right? We definitely have a few. We've made it to the Super Bowl. We've won a Super Bowl, a couple of them.
Must be nice.
Of course, Marino never got that Super Bowl, but it is kind of our claim to fame that we're the only undefeated team. And I'll tell you, your team, Dawson, almost did it a few years ago.
If
it wasn't for one of those Manning brothers, there would have been another undefeated
My fraternity
team,
brother, Eli Manning.
But listen, if anybody's going to do it, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's playing out of his mind. He's the best quarterback right now in the NFL. He almost did it, but I was pretty happy that he didn't.
I mean, realistically, there were only like 2 or 3 teams that even had a chance to beat them, and one of them finally did. And they still might have another few losses down the road because we got they have to play the Steelers, and then
they still have to play the Texans, and the Texans are looking a little shaky.
I would say they have to play the Chargers one more time and the Broncos.
Yeah, and the Chargers.
Neither of those teams are
they're fighting
for
playoff positions right now.
Well, the funny thing too is that when I remember the '85 Bears, which you probably don't remember the '85 Bears.
I wasn't even an idea.
That's right. I lived that season. I watched that season, and I remember on that Monday night.
You guys were the only team to beat us.
We were the only team to beat you guys. So we basically popped our own champagne that night.
Yep.
Beat you on that Monday night, and I remember that game.
Whooped our ass.
But you guys, you had a hell of a team that year.
Yeah.
And a hell of a team.
So get in first game. It was the Thursday night game.
Hold on, wait. So we were under the impression that we have some stories from Chris about.
Okay,
so speaking of Dan Marino, I just found out that you know Dan Marino. You've met Dan Marino.
I would say no.
Okay,
and you've met a celebrity once. You know the guy. Okay, that's how that goes.
Okay, so I don't know Dan Marino, but I will say that I did meet Dan Marino. It was actually about a month after Dawson was born. And I tried to turn Dawson into a Dolphin fan. It didn't work. But the day he was born, I literally took my Dolphin hat off, took a picture with him wearing that hat. And that picture, I had Dan Marino. I handed it to him. He held it. He wouldn't sign it, unfortunately. I was in Vegas. It was an event where he had been hired by this company to come in and take photos. And so I was able to meet him for about 30 seconds. He said, I couldn't sign it, but I'll hold it for you. And it was great. So he held that picture, and you've seen that picture before.
His fingerprints are on that picture.
Yeah, so that was great. But I also got to see Marino play his very last victory. So in '99, in the wild card round, we went to Seattle. It was in the Kingdome. It was actually the last football game in the Kingdome before they imploded it. And we won that game.
Marino
it was great. He came
long.
from behind. It was a fourth quarter comeback. After that game, they went on the next week. They played Jacksonville. They got absolutely annihilated,
Back
destroyed.
when Jacksonville was good.
They were good, and Jacksonville killed us like 60-something to 7. Ooh. Jimmy Johnson was fired after that game, or maybe he retired. Dan Marino retired. The whole team fell apart at that point. That was our last glory year that I can remember.
And then you can pretty much just skip until now, and Dolphins history is the same.
That's right. Skip until now. I mean, so I know what it's like to go through season after season where you get excited, and so pretty much what you're going through right now, Dylan.
I would say it's a little bit worse just because my team likes to mess with my feelings and throw kind of like, you know that the commercial of, what is it, Geico or something, where the fisherman's holding the dollar in front of the person and you're just sitting there trying to grab at it, and he rips it away from their hands at the last second. That's how I feel watching the Bears play. It's like the wind's right there. And then, whoop. Nice try.
That's funny. Well, now we're on the topic of Dolphins, where I know everyone says about Tua and all this, he needs to retire. I mean, obviously, it's no secret that Tua is a good quarterback, and the numbers speak for that. Like I saw with the games that he's been back, the 5 games, he has like 1 interception, like 12 touchdowns. Very, very good. They're scoring points. He's facilitating the ball to his playmakers. Do you take, I guess, I mean, as a fan, it's awesome to see your team win. Do you take that, or do you just go, I still think you should do what's best for you, and we'll eventually find another quarterback?
Well, I think right now we're literally one storm, one quick breeze away from him falling over and having another concussion in his season and his career being over. You know, I really struggle with this. I think we need to take a quarterback because he is amazing. You're right, Dawson. I mean, what he has done these last couple of weeks has proven that, hey, he is worthy. He's a great quarterback, although he's a ticking time bomb back there.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Daniel
is
Jones?
one tackle away from being done.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And that's
You
hard
like
as
you
a
almost
fan.
want to cringe every time you see him go down. You're like,
oh, we do. Oh, we cringe every single time. Like when
Tua.
he's running the ball, I'm like, go down, go down, go down. You know, go down immediately right now. So
I don't know. It's I mean, you already know that I think he should retire, and it's I'm just waiting. It's a waiting game.
That's the crabby part. Is it
football,
does
it's gonna
feel like
happen.
we're just waiting.
Yep.
Like we're just kind of sitting there going, okay, when's it gonna happen again?
Yep.
When's this gonna? So but like again, like I also said, the numbers speak for himself. So it's kind of like a devil and the angel, to where he plays really, really good, and the Dolphins are really good when he plays, but
he's die.
one hit away from maybe dying and not knowing his children when they're older.
Yeah.
So you just never know. You just never know.
well, it sucks too, because you look at a team like the Steelers that year after year, they go middle of the pack, right? They maybe barely make the playoffs. They get a wild card. So they never get a high draft pick. And yet year after year after year, it's like right now, it's like, do I want them to lose like your team? I mean, right now, you know, the Bears keep losing. They're getting closer and closer to a better draft pick. You know, we need a good quarterback. We have to put another quarterback on the bench. Yeah. And with a quarterback
I will say
like Tua,
with the Steelers, I will say the Dolphins should follow almost kind of a similar blueprint right now as the Packers. They have that option. I don't think don't look out for, I don't know, hurting Tua's feelings, but go and get a guy. Maybe not the first round, but bring a guy in. It's not Skylar Thompson, a guy that you drafted in like the 6th or 7th round, a real QB prospect. Or it could be someone that's already in the league, like a Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
And sit him behind Tua and just let him learn the offense. And then when Tua goes down next time, when, not if, it's you know, you're not dropping off as much, because the Dolphins look like a completely different team whenever Tua
fell
goes
off
out.
a cliff when
like
Tua goes
nobody
out.
can lose a game against the Dolphins without Tua. It seems like it's just they're not a good team without him.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you on that. And I could see them doing, like you said, the Steelers route. The Steelers went out and picked up two
cheap quarterbacks.
We saw that, and I mean,
They're
Justin
paying,
Fields
like,
was
$4 million.
4-2 the first half of the year, and now, you know, Russell Wilson. They lost to the Browns in a crazy game, but they're proven that, hey, we've got two guys that we can send in there and feel a little bit confident with. To where with the Dolphins, it was,
if Tua's out, we're screwed.
We're screwed, and we saw that for the games that Tua was out.
Well, even a player like Justin Fields, or I would have taken Russell Wilson. I would have taken Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Just to, I mean, you imagine those guys, what they would do with our receiver core.
Yeah.
Just in that style of offense too.
Yeah.
They
could do a lot.
I just feel like the Miami offense could be so much more dangerous if they had a mobile quarterback. Not because Tua's not, I wouldn't call him mobile. He can run. He's not the slowest guy in the world, but having a guy like, I can only imagine what Justin Fields would look like on the Dolphins offense. That would be sick.
Or like a Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson to say.
Oh, that'd be wild.
Yeah, that would be.
Well, you never know. It could still happen. That could still happen. I mean, Justin, he wants to be a starter.
Yeah.
He's not a starter right now. And he doesn't have a contract.
I was going to say, he has to get signed to a deal this offseason. He's not on contract after this. This is the last year of his rookie deal.
So what teams are out there right now that are going to need a quarterback that you think he would go to?
The Cowboys. No, not the Cowboys. I don't know, the Raiders,
Maybe.
even though they're drafting
he
a
was in
quarterback.
talks of going to the Raiders too before this season.
49ers.
Yeah. Because the 49ers
skipped
passed out
on
on
him.
drafting him, yeah.
Why not the Dolphins, though?
Yeah, the
Like,
Dolphins.
why
They
not
really
Justin
could be
Fields
the
and
Dolphins.
Well, I mean, maybe
I
because,
think
like
they
you
should
said,
look
he
into
wants
it.
to be a starter, and he knows if Tua's there and healthy, that they're not going to bench Tua. So you never know. It's interesting to talk about, though.
You could just give him a little nudge in practice, and then he would be.
This is also
Flick him in the back of the
Pull a
head.
Tanya Harding.
Maybe that's
gone.
what he did to Russell Wilson at the beginning of the year. But no, to go on the Steelers, to recap some of these Week 12 games, there were some good ones. Steelers-Browns. This game was a winter wonderland. It was so fun to watch.
It was.
Whenever games are like this, they're awesome because
I
you
think
don't
the
see
Steelers
too
might
many
win
of
this
them.
game if it doesn't snow. That's
I
my
think
only
so
thing.
too. I think so too.
They were starting to pick it back up, and then the snow just destroyed them.
Yeah.
Like, it destroyed both teams, but the Browns, I mean, getting to play at home, and I don't want to say they have a more dominant running game, but Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb, and he seemed to have a bit of a resurgence. He had 2 rushing touchdowns.
And the weather helped him, I think, to get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nick Chubb coming back and doing what he's doing, I think it's awesome.
Yep.
Of how it ended last year and how everyone was. Jameis Winston needs. I'm telling you,
he needs his own TV show.
He should be put in the Hall of Fame just for his
Hall of
they
Fame
need to make a separate
personalities.
category just for him.
He's awesome.
He's
man.
so much fun to watch. And then before the
awesome.
game, after the just I don't know. Do you think he plans it out, or is he just go off of whatever he? I just feel like it'd be so hard to just come up with all that and not have it planned out. And
I think
this is what I'm gonna say. This is what I'm totally gonna make this.
I think he's just. I don't know. I hope it's authentic because it is so funny to watch.
I do too.
And
I think
30
it
on
is
30 of him though from years ago. Where
Yeah,
that
there
is who
is.
he is.
Yeah.
That is his personality. I don't think he plans that. That is just what comes out.
It's so cool. It's so cool because I think
funny
that
guy.
can only go the locker room, and I would love it. Like if my starting quarterback, and especially winning the game, beating the Steelers, your rival at home in snow, him doing snow angels after the game and saying the game's on Prime. I'm gonna go order something off Amazon Prime. It's gonna be here tomorrow morning at 9:00 because they're fast like that. How do you come up with stuff like that? So it was pretty cool to see Jameis succeed. He's always gonna be a guy that I think you root for no matter which team he's on.
I wish there were 32 of him so that every NFL team could have a guy like Jameis.
I agree. Next one, though, Titans-Texans. We kind of brought this one up.
Huge upset.
Huge upset. I'm happy about it, though, because the Texans were kind of in the same realm of the Patriots when it comes to draft position.
Were they really?
Yep. So them winning only helps us out, so I was all for it.
Oh, you're talking about the Titans. Okay.
Yeah, the Titans. Not my bad. The Titans.
Okay,
yes,
yeah,
the
that makes
Titans'
sense.
record was very in the same ballpark as the
you needed
Patriots.
that.
And the Titans also beat us, so I'm happy
true.
about that.
That's
that
true.
the Titans were able to pull it off.
Well, the Jaguars beat you too, and they're also I forgot about them as well.
Yes, so all things are looking good towards draft picks, but yes, the Titans
And you
beat
still
the
beat
Texans.
the Jets. This is
yes.
like win-win-win for you guys.
I'm telling
this year.
you. So we need to keep on losing though, because I want as high of a draft pick as we can get. But yes, the Texans. I don't know what is wrong. Is it a Shroud problem? Is it an offensive line? Is it?
Stroud's definitely not playing as well as he could be. I think he's kind of having a little bit of a sophomore slump. I don't want to call it that, though, because, his O-line, he's getting pressured. I'm pretty sure he is the most pressured quarterback in the league, and he has been, all year long, outside of, maybe 2 weeks. And, you're seeing it. And, obviously, Diggs is out. Mixon missed a couple games. Collins missed a couple games. So it's, it's not all on Stroud. It's not completely his fault. But he's not making all of the plays that he should be, and he's throwing some bad interceptions as of recently. I think I would credit some of his interceptions, or at least one of them. Did he have multiple? I think he did, against the Titans that lost in the game, really. Gave the Titans an extra possession, and, they still had a chance to win it at the end, but if you take those points away, because I think Tennessee scored on both, every time they got the ball back from the Texans, they put points up. And I think the Texans still had a chance to win, but too many mistakes.
Well, and you've also were very high on the Titans' defense going into the year.
They have a
had
good
some big
defense,
names, so that also played into effect. But yeah, happy the Titans won. It only helps the Patriots when it comes to their draft position.
Yup.
Your game, Vikings, Bears, OT. You described it perfectly, though.
This is the best case scenario.
Yes,
it couldn't have happened better. I love watching highlights after the fact of seeing, Caleb, because while I'm in the game, I'm thinking very critically of everything that's happening, but going back and watching, Caleb was making throw after throw after throw. Not just the fourth quarter, the whole game, but especially the fourth quarter. And he just, He is playing, and this was, say what you want, this is one of the best defenses in the league, and he lit them up. Like, he lit them up all day.
For what?
340, 2 touchdowns, and he could have had more.
Ran the ball a ton too.
He's been. I love what our offensive coordinator is doing. Enough to the point where I would like to see him at least in consideration for a piece or a part on the offense next year. I don't want Thomas Brown to leave because he has gotten Caleb Williams' development back on track. It was off the rails when Eberflus and Waldron were in charge of it. And yeah, best case scenario, we're getting the highest possible draft pick, and we're finding out that we're not going to need another QB. He is the guy. He made throws that I've seen maybe 3 or 4 other quarterbacks make.
There were a couple on
stupid.
There were a couple on the sideline where I was like,
wild.
"That's an NFL throw."
In between two guys, hands. It's just beautiful throws, multiple big time throws, and yet another game-winning drive ripped from his hands. It sucks, but we still had a chance to win it in overtime, and I found out. So
I will say that sack he took
horrible
on that second and 9, I think.
Yeah.
That was it was really
it was bad. He was trying to get it all back at once. He was trying to win the game with one throw, and that's a rookie mistake. Yeah. But before that even happened, before overtime, we had a chance on a 4th down. There was 4th and 4, and we were going for it. But stop me if you've heard this before. Matt Eberflus once again finds a way to mess it up. He had the kicking unit out while the offensive coordinator and the offense are trying to put together a play to run, and the wrong unit's on the field, and Matt Eberflus realizes it, and so they send out the offense as time's ticking down, and they have to take a timeout, and they can't run the play, and they end up punting. And then we were playing good. We had another 4th down conversion and another one that was dropped, and it just time and time again, the head coach, when it's a time where, he has a chance to show you that he's got, an idea of what he's doing or that he can make the right decision in crunch time, he does the opposite every time. It never fails. It's impressive. It really is. I said it before we started filming. This is the perfect coach for if you want to tank. If you want a good draft pick, he will give you faith that you have the pieces there to win, but he's not going to win you the game. You are never going to win with him at head coach. And I hope he's gone because I heard when he got hired in the first place, they didn't disclose what his contract was. And I found out a few weeks ago that this is why. He is apparently under a 5-year deal instead of a 4-year deal, which is what head coaches normally get. And this next year would be year 4. So knowing my team and how cheap they are and they have a history of making the wrong decision.
Get another year of it, baby. Let's go.
Another year of ruining our quarterback.
Let's go.
I'm done talking about them. They're moving on to the Commanders and Cowboys.
This game was a snooze fest in the first half, and then the 4th quarter blew up with a lot of points, but there were 54 points scored in the second half of this game.
In the 4th quarter alone, there were like 20 or 30.
Yeah, well,
it was 41. There's 41
points.
points.
Really in the 4th quarter?
Yeah,
that's wild.
That's crazy.
That's wild. Well, there were 2 kick returns. There's the one to Turpin where he it almost like it helped him out. We see this though. It reminded me of the Deshaun Jackson punt return against the Giants all those years ago, where he dropped it. Everyone kind of was playing in the motions,
the opposite direction,
and scores a touchdown. It kind of reminded me of that, but he took off, and that was awesome. And then to have Washington, that long play to Terry,
where they almost had another Hail Mary,
which basically was with 30 seconds, and then you missed the freaking extra point. It was a really fun. If you weren't a fan of any of these teams and you were just watching it, it was like, oh my
awesome.
God, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. So that game was a lot of fun to watch. I don't know how the Cowboys somehow pulled it off. They did.
I would say, why is Lattimore not playing in these games?
I think he's still hurt. That knee injury that he had while he was on the Saints.
It sucks because I want to see what the Commanders look like with a real, a complete team with everyone playing, and because I feel like he could do a lot for them. And I'm not counting them out yet because I still think they can make the playoffs.
I don't think they're beating the Eagles.
Well, the Eagles. I don't think they touched the Lions. I don't even think the Eagles touched the Lions. So I don't know. This is a good building block for the Commanders, I'll say. That this season is something to go off of.
I agree.
For sure. You're not going to have to change too much after this year. Just upgrade from here.
Yeah.
But there are teams better than you, and clearly if you're losing to the Cowboys, even if it was kind of lucky that you lost, you almost won off of luck too.
Well, the score is a little bit inflated because the Cowboys had that onside kick at the end where they took it for a touchdown.
Should have just been like winning by 1.
Should have just been winning by 1. So you can look at it like that. I think the Commanders are good. They've, like you said, shown a lot of promise. They're gonna be good.
Oh, yeah.
All they have to do is just upgrade now.
Good. He's good.
They're a couple years behind against some of these teams that we are now seeing in the NFC. I don't think they touch them.
They need a receiver. They need. Their running game is kind of underwhelming. Like they didn't do much against the Cowboys, and they've been just everyone has been able to move the ball against them.
They were all hurt too. Like Robinson's been hurt, Eckler,
and they were back.
Hurt,
both of them played,
and
this
then
game.
they both got hurt again. That's a huge waiver wire pickup, by the way, in your fantasy leagues.
McNichols,
pick him up. I think Eckler and Robinson are probably going to be out. So that if you need a starting running back, I know playoffs is getting going or it's close.
If you have Breece Hall, maybe the most important week for you, Breece Hall has a bye week in week 14.
Yeah, so you never know. If you need a guy, I would definitely look at tomorrow's Wednesday. Waiver wire is going Wednesday. Look at the Washington running back because both those guys, I'm hearing there's a good chance that they might both be out. Next one, though. Chiefs-Panthers.
Bryce Young played his best game as a pro.
He did, and I think the Chiefs are going to get everyone's best shot. The Panthers, I think, threw everything they possibly could. But it goes back to our argument, when you give the ball back. Patrick Mahomes had the ball with 1 minute and 30 seconds left with 3 timeouts.
That's a minute too
I saw him kick the field goal, and I was like, let's go. Like, the Panthers might do it. And I saw the time and the timeouts, and I was like,
game over.
This is
turning
over.
This one off.
Mahomes is... He did what he did, marched down the field, they killed the clock.
Did you see how he did it again?
I did. He went to go run out of bounds. And
I'm going to run out of bounds. Oh, no, I'm not.
No,
30 more yards. Yeah. That's such a... God, so, I can't be mad at him for doing it. It's not his fault.
It's like faking a slide when Kenny Pickett did that, and then the next week it was all of a sudden banned.
There should be a rule where if it looks like you're declaring to go out of bounds and you stay in bounds, regardless if you actually step out of bounds, you should be able to get rocked.
Well, and that's what people are saying too. It's like at some point you just got to hit them and just kind of live with it and go, what do you want me to do? If I don't do that, he's just going to stay in bounds somehow and
at least
run for
make
another...
him scared to do it again.
Yeah.
At least don't, because right now he's doing it with full confidence that you are not going to hit him.
Nope.
If he's even a step from out of bounds.
Yep.
So he can just turn it up field and no.
I mean, that's the problem though that I have with the NFL right now. When you think about all of the way they protect the quarterback, I get it. Right, most important player on the field.
Yeah, they're your money
Look
makers.
at what happened. I mean, Tua's a great example of that. Right, we're garbage without him, and we're a different team with him. But when you look at some of these hits that these quarterbacks used to take in the olden days, I mean, some of these quarterbacks today
10 years ago.
would never, they would never be able to play the game as long as they have.
Yeah,
it wouldn't happen. But when you see a guy like Mahomes, though, who he's great, he's awesome. But as soon as he did that, I was so mad because it's like, pop him. He's a running back now.
Well, he did the same thing against San Francisco a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm over that. Like if a quarterback decides to run, you're no longer a quarterback.
You're a runner.
You're not protected anymore. You're a runner.
Unless you start to slide, and then you get that protection as well.
Yeah,
but
even that though, even when they start to slide, it's like sometimes they go too late, and then they still get the guy for hitting him.
Yeah,
and it's just such a touchy rule that I don't know. I think as soon as he runs, I think all quarterback special rules should be gone. That's my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. Next one, Eagles-Rams.
I could not have been more spot on with my Saquon
Your
Barkley
Saquon
prediction. I'm serious. I said he was going to have 2,000 scrimmage yards. He's on pace.
Like we have written, it's not crazy to say that he is in the MVP conversation.
No, I think he belongs there. What's the Eagles' record right now if they don't have Saquon Barkley?
Yeah.
Like they might have 3 or 4 wins. Like I can think of I mean, just it seems like every game he is the reason they're winning. Like week 1, he had 3 touchdowns against the Packers and they only won by like 1 possession.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. What he's doing is insane. And I think quarterback has won MVP like each of the last 11 seasons. The last person to do it was Adrian Peterson in like 2012. Saquon, if he does this a couple more times, I'm ready to give it to him. I don't think he will just because it's become a quarterback award. But who was more deserving than Saquon?
Yeah, I think
who's contributing more to wins?
I agree.
Maybe Josh Allen.
And I think he's 100% locked up the offensive player of the year.
Oh my god!
No matter what. But
maybe Jamar. It's gonna be so
Jamar,
because
he'll probably win the Triple Crown if he continues to do what he's doing.
I don't know who you give it to in that case.
Well, I mean, you give Saquon the MVP if they end up doing this, and you give Jamar the offensive player of the year.
I would do that because Jamar doesn't have the team wins to do it.
Yeah.
Give the MVP.
But yeah, the Eagles, they look like
AJ Brown looked good. Devontae Smith
good.
wasn't playing.
No, yeah. So I like the Eagles. My prediction, I think it's going to be the Eagles and the Lions at the end of the year for the NFC. 49ers
that should
terrible.
Probably be everyone's prediction. Quite on the Niners might miss the playoffs.
And I think both of those teams too, they have the recipe for winning games in the playoffs.
Oh yeah,
they can run the ball. They play very good defense, and they have quarterbacks that aren't making mistakes right now. Minus the whole Jared Goff 5 interceptions thing. Take that game as an anomaly. It just happened.
That game.
They still won that game.
They won that game.
So that is the way. I mean, these two teams are built to win playoff games with how they run the ball and with the guys that they have around their quarterbacks. So I think these two teams are going to be awesome to watch going down the stretch. So I'm looking forward to it. The Eagles are fun to watch. I know they get a lot of made fun of with their coach, and he's just kind of this firecracker. You never know what's going to happen. But I'm sorry, he wins games.
He does. And I will say, because they asked, I don't remember, I think it was like A.J. Brown or someone that was asking about the outside perspective of the player's relationship with Sirianni. And I think it did seem like we had the wrong impression of who Sirianni was as a coach. He seems like he's very much a player's coach. He's involved in the day-to-day stuff. He's not just like a leader. He's not, I guess, an enforcer. He's one with the team. And I think in this game against the Rams, we found out what the Rams' ceiling is this year, and I don't think they'll be contending. I think they're just a little bit too young on defense. They've got great pieces on defense, but I think they're just too young. And the offensive line is still not fully healthy, and the NFC has become really strong. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with like Stafford at the end of the year, because I don't know if he's under contract after this.
And he's getting old too, I still think he's a very good quarterback.
Well, the Rams also don't have a backup option. Like they don't have anyone to bring in, so maybe that's another team that we're talking about this. But Daniel Jones.
Last game, it was the battle of the Harbaughs. I know now John Harbaugh moves to 3-0 against his brother Jim.
It's got a sting.
Derrick Henry played good. J.K. Dobbins, he went out in like the second quarter.
The second he got hurt, the Chargers' offense just became one-dimensional.
It really was.
They weren't getting much at all out of Gus Edwards. I didn't see Kamani Vidal, I think that's his name, their backup running back, much at all. And then Johnston, their receiver, had 3 drops.
Oh, he's so bad.
Major. And it sucks because he's been having kind of a resurgent year. Like he was doing good. You look at his stats and it's very respectable, but the drops are still there.
Well, and the one he had that everyone's talking about, if he catches that,
it's different.
He's probably running 40 yards down the field for a touchdown. If not getting down to within the 10-yard line. So, and it's stuff like that. Like you've got to make those plays.
You're a first-round pick.
You've got to make those plays.
Yeah, you're a first-round pick. You should be making those plays.
But the Ravens dominated, and the Ravens
are so good.
The Ravens are good. I still think the Chargers are good. Justin Herbert, they're going to be very good. But the Ravens did what the Ravens needed to do. They won against a good team. The Chargers have some big games against the Falcons still left. They've played the Chiefs this week. So. Yeah, I'm excited to see the Chargers, but the Ravens, they took care of business.
Chargers have been one of the surprises of the year, I'd say. Yeah. Not a team. I counted them out completely. I didn't think I thought they'd finish close to the last in the division. That was my fault for not giving Jim Harbaugh enough credit, because that guy, he just wins everywhere he goes.
Have you seen the stats on him too? Like every team that he turned around,
he just
back
wins.
to Stanford and Michigan. And
it's crazy.
Like everywhere he goes, he wins.
Everywhere.
And it says a lot. So,
He's
NFL news. Daniel Jones released, cleared waivers. Where do you think he goes?
There's a lot of interesting options. Like I thought the Cowboys... The couch. So the Cowboys had...
Maybe we should invite him to our couch. Because I don't think he has anything better
Daniel,
to do. We need Daniel Jones. Listen, we'd love to have you on the podcast.
If you're not busy or anything,
we'll fly you to Atlanta. We'll
Talked
pick
a
you
lot
up with a
of crap
limo.
about you, so
We'll pick you up with a limo, and we will drive you here to the studio. And we would love to have you on the show.
I think Jerry Jones had the chance to do the funniest thing ever because they play the Giants on Thanksgiving. So he could have brought him in. Like, Cooper Rush, you get the same product, if not a little better. The 49ers, I thought, because I don't want to see their backup quarterback again after that Green Bay game. Yeah. And if Purdy, it was a shoulder injury, right? Mm-hmm. That's not, that's a big one for a QB.
I'm pretty sure it was his right shoulder, too, which is his throwing shoulder.
Throwing arm. So goodbye to playoffs and anything after that because he's been hurt a couple times now, a couple big injuries, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he hurt that shoulder already against the Eagles, did he not? In the playoffs?
It was his elbow.
It was his elbow, but same arm?
So I'm pretty sure, yes.
So I don't know.
Because it was his throwing arm, and he did what the baseball players do.
The UCL surgery? Yeah. So it's 49ers could be an option. The Raiders, less likely because they're in a position to take a quarterback. But the Vikings, because Sam Darnold is not under contract after this year, and the way he's playing, he played really good against the Bears. He could command like 40 to 50 million, and the Vikings have a rookie QB. So maybe this is a time where they bring in a bridge guy. But I think we just mentioned the Rams. Yeah. The Rams could be really interesting. I think that could be a good one. The Dolphins, Chris. There are a lot of options for Daniel Jones. Looking at it from, I guess, not from a little bit smaller of a lens, you could say he's just going to fizzle out of the league. But there are plenty of teams that could use him.
Yeah, really. I'm sure he'll get picked up somewhere. I wouldn't count that out. He's not going to start. He's going to be a backup
I think
somewhere.
His days as a starter are over.
Do you think that a team would get him?
What about the Browns?
Would a team get him for free?
Oh, he cleared waivers. So you
wouldn't have to pay him. He's already getting paid millions of dollars.
No, he's not anymore because the Giants do owe him the guaranteed money on his contract, but since he cleared waivers, none of the other teams that signed him are responsible for that money. So he can sign. I think he's eligible for a veteran minimum if they really wanted to give him that. But he's still getting that money from the Giants.
Yeah.
That's what is it? Yeah. I think 19 or 20 million in dead cap space
something like that.
Woo!
It was up there.
And on top of that, the league leader in interceptions walked from the Giants last year. Xavier McKinney, he's on the Packers. He has 7 interceptions. I think the Giants have 1 interception on the year. And then they let Saquon walk, and a reason they didn't pay Saquon is because of Daniel Jones, who they now cut. And Saquon is MVP
Everyone's
conversations.
seeing what Saquon's doing.
So imagine what the Giants would...
That clip of the Giants GM from Hard Knocks of him kind of going, you only get this job once.
Do you remember in that same scene when, I don't know who it was, but it was a guy sitting on the couch in that meeting when they're talking about, he just kind of, he coughs and he goes, are we sure that no one's going to pay Saquon an extra $1 million? And he was like, well, who's going to do it? Their GM. And he goes, Philly?
Yeah. Yeah, and how he said that he's not going to be able to sleep if he goes to Philly. I wonder how that guy sleeps, knowing what he's doing in Philly right now.
Oh,
the Giants are a giant dumpster fire.
Oh, yeah.
And they always will be.
Oh, yeah.
And they always will be. My team, Gerard Mayo, I'm so sick and tired of this guy coming out and saying, little... It's like an ego thing to me. He has to put these, keeps on saying these things to be pump his chest up.
No, but it's, for some background information, it was a press conference this week. I don't know if was it after the game. It was after the game. Okay, so Mayo was asked. The Patriots had a rough game in terms of penalties and making mistakes as a team in general. And he was asked about what he can do, what his responsibility as a coach to limit those mistakes. And he goes, word for word, he goes, once those players cross those white lines, there's nothing I can do for them. What are you getting paid for if it's not to do that?
It doesn't make sense, and this is why I say
no sense at all.
It's like an ego thing. I have to put myself up and put everyone else. And this is the 3rd or 4th time he's done it this year.
Yeah.
And it's seriously getting to the point to where I'm just dude, what are we doing?
You got to understand though, he's doing that because he's a player. See, some of these best coaches. Think about a Bill Belichick. Would he have ever said that? Bill Belichick never played professional football. Some of the best coaches we've ever had never played professional football. So that's part of the problem. Is Mayo? He's acting like he's a player.
But then you have guys like Dan Campbell and does what he. So there's lots of ways to go. But to me, it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. It's pumping my own chest up because I have to make myself feel better than everyone else.
I saw that, and I immediately knew that we were going to talk about this on the podcast. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? What does he say?
It's really stupid, and it's really, instead of, now I will say, when he called everyone soft and all that, and we came out and beat the Jets.
Yeah, that's fine.
Your team responded, so that means that it so maybe that, but I don't... Like I said, at this point, just lose games so we can get Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
I will say, like we talked about earlier, you are losing the games you're supposed to lose because you're losing the games to the teams that are also contending for the first overall pick.
Yes.
And then you get to beat teams like the Jets just for fun.
Exactly.
And the Bengals, week 1.
Exactly. I forgot we did that.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so crazy to think about that. But moving on to this, another dumpster fire, same division as the Giants. Jerry Jones came out and said, I think this was today, would not be the craziest thing to give Mike McCarthy a contract extension.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
We are speaking for Cowboys fans and the Cowboys in general. Do it. Sign him for 5 more years.
Go sign him for another 5.
Do it.
I'd love it. I think that's the smartest thing you've said all year, Jerry.
That was smarter than keeping the curtains open.
That was smarter than trading for Mingo, and I don't even think he has a catch since being on the team. I think do it. I'm all for it.
Man.
All for it.
So I guess to transition into the next segment, we just had to get that out because that is.
You know what they should also do is sign Parsons to a huge deal so they have 3 players taking up about 65-70% of their cap. That's also what they should do.
That would be.
So I'm all for it.
What a dumpster.
I'm all for it.
The Cowboys. Yeah, moving in.
I'm being totally sarcastic, by the way. If this gets clipped and we post it somewhere, that is 100% sarcastic. The Giants are a dumpster fire. I think Jerry Jones is really, really stupid, and I think how he handles the Cowboys is, if you want to talk about ego, I'm talking about Gerard Mayo having ego. This guy has an ego through the roof. I don't understand why. I don't understand why he does what he does, but I love it because screw the Cowboys. And I love seeing them lose every year.
But speaking on terrible head coaches, talking about head coaches that could be fired, talking about some obvious choices we thought was obvious.
The list just continues to get longer.
Matt Eberflus, duh. Doug Peterson, duh. Dabble, which is apparently already underway.
Yeah.
Which I saw, there was a tweet that came out. This was a Giants reporter that I saw him tweet that the Giants had, I don't know if this got leaked or if he heard this from inside the organization that this was already like happening after the year. But apparently the Giants have already put together the process of firing both their GM and Brian Dabble, which I'm in support of. I think it should happen, but I saw a tweet that said it. I saw a tweet from the reporter that said it already happened, and then I was like looking on NFL pages, seeing nothing. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Why is no one talking about this other than you? Why is no one addressing that you just said this either?
I did the same.
It made me feel crazy. I was like, am I just looking too much into this?
I literally did the same thing.
But like Zach Taylor, the Bengals head coach, needs to be gone. But some surprising choices: Gerard Mayo.
Unfortunately, I don't think he will. I think he's going to be here for a couple more years just because this was his first year.
Case for it, though.
Yeah, he is. Another one we
Kevin Stefanski, which he doesn't deserve it, man. If he gets fired from the Browns, he's getting hired immediately.
I agree.
He will find a job somewhere because he's a great head coach. He just won Coach of the Year last year.
Yeah. When I think another guy who's going to end up being a head coach again is Mike Vrabel.
Also on the Browns.
Also on the Browns. I think he was a great coach at the Titans. So he'll be somewhere. You never know with Bill Belichick if he wants to come out and coach again. So there are a lot of great options that I don't think a lot of people are thinking about right now.
This was what Chris was the one that told us when we were filming, I think before we filmed the last episode, that there's going to be like almost half the league coaching opportunities, like 12 or 13.
Yeah, they said with all the new coaches this season.
And there were 10 last year, I think.
That's right.
Like 8 or 10.
If you added next season's potential new coaches, not only is the average age going to drop way low, but you could have half the league with brand new coaches first year. Could you imagine being a pro football player and you have to literally start with a brand new coach?
That's like 15 years younger than you.
Reaching the echelon of your sport and then possibly having to start with a dumpster fire, and then you never know, because that could change the trajectory of someone's career.
This is going to be such a fun offseason to report with us being like this is the first time we'll be able to do this. This is going to be very interesting to follow close up.
I agree.
A lot of cool storylines for sure.
I agree. So let's quickly run through these Week 13 Thanksgiving.
The
Black
biggest
Friday.
primetime picks we will have.
Yes, there are a lot of ones to pick here. First one, Bears Lions. Thanksgiving, 12 o'clock. Probably not going to be eating food by then, so everyone's going to be watching this one by 12. all day.
Eating food or drinking or like
yes,
both?
A little bit of both.
Yes.
I'm going to go with the Lions. Lions are at home.
Okay.
I think it's really hard not to pick the Lions. I know who you're picking. There's no way you go against that. So the Lions are too good. I know the Bears' defense is good. They've proven that. I don't know if you're going to beat the Lions on Thanksgiving at home with how good they're running the ball, how good they're passing the ball. Their defense is playing pretty good, too, against a rookie quarterback. I got the Lions.
I have no reason to pick the Bears other than I am a delusional super fan of Chicago. And I do think it's possible that we actually beat the Lions because we play the Lions quite well. We almost swept them last year. Should have had 2 wins under our belt. We crushed them one time, and then the second time we just let them come back. But, yeah. I think we win this game. I think Caleb has been stacking together very, very consistent performances. I think on a short week, I just think we get it. I hope that I'm right. Obviously, I need it to catch up on our little primetime game, but Bears. Give me the Bears.
I want to predict this one. So I think actually the Bears are going to get 5 interceptions. I think they're going to recover 3 fumbles.
Okay,
I think the game's going to go to overtime. And the Bears are going to lose.
Let me tell you,
they're going to
if that somehow happens and they throw 3+ interceptions and fumble the ball 3+ times and still somehow win the game,
Lions are winning the Super Bowl.
all I gotta say that one.
Either that or the Bears are the worst team in like NFL history.
Next one, Giants Cowboys.
Ugh.
This is the game that people might just rather sit
This
at
is
the
a nap.
table.
This is a nap.
Yeah, after you're done eating.
Visit your family.
Yeah,
this time
go talk
period.
to your grandma that you haven't talked to in months instead of probably watching this one. I'm going to go with the Cowboys, though. The Giants are a huge dumpster fire. The Cowboys are too, but there are reports coming out saying that Giants players have completely given up. They want their coach fired. There are people saying, it wasn't a Daniel Jones' fault. It's everyone else's.
Neighbors after the game.
Yeah.
It's like, see? It's not DJ.
So, and I know, say what you want, but the Cowboys figured out how to beat Washington. Washington is a pretty good team.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Cowboys at home for this one.
I'm with you on that one. I'm not taking the Giants. any game this year, I'm not taking the Giants. Nope. No, Cowboys. It's a dumpster fire of a game between 2 dumpster fire organizations, but someone's got to win.
Yep.
Technically, they don't. They can tie, but I don't think this is going to end in a tie.
Yeah.
It's
Last one on Thanksgiving. This one's 8:30.
Chris's team.
Chris's team. Dolphins at Packers. It is supposed to be below 30 degrees. There's a possibility of snow and
so I'm
rain.
picking the Packers.
So for that reason, I am picking the
Packers.
Packers.
That's an easy one. Chris?
Okay, first of all, so minus 30 degrees. We know what our record is, right? I don't think we've ever won a game below 30 degrees.
Sounds about right.
Snow? You said snow.
There's a chance of snow.
It's a December game.
It's in Lambeau.
Okay, so there's no reason to think that the Dolphins will win.
Dolphins hate playing in December. Well, no,
And
it's
it's in
technically
Lambeau.
not December yet.
Yeah, so, okay, so I've got the Dolphins.
Okay.
I wouldn't expect
On
anything
what
less.
basis? Think
Because they're the
Tyreek's
Dolphins.
going to go
I
out?
got to root for my team. I can't go against
Fair
my
enough.
team.
Fair enough. It's going to be a freezing game. Jeez.
We'll see.
Thanksgiving
It's gonna
night.
be- I know there's a clip of Tua coming out and saying that he wants to put, all the rumors and put the past and kind of make people eat what they. But I mean, you haven't proven anything about playing teams in cold weather and winning. So I'm going with the Packers. Packers are also very good.
I've heard concussions can be worse in the cold, so hopefully he
the
doesn't.
ground's a lot harder.
Hopefully he doesn't scramble and try to run the ball.
Well, knowing Tua, he's going head first into the first guy he
goes head
sees.
first. So, Black Friday game. This one's at 3:30, I believe.
Weird time, yeah.
Weird
Like
Raiders.
4 or something.
Yeah, like 3:34, somewhere
Raiders
around
at
that time.
Chiefs.
Raiders at Chiefs. I'm
Raiders.
going the Chiefs. I don't think the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are good enough. Gardner Minshew broke his collarbone, so he's out for the year. I don't know who's going to be their quarterback.
Daniel Jones,
Desmond Ritter. I think came in for wins.
He's on their practice squad.
Yeah, so
they'll probably elevate him.
Good luck, Chiefs. You get a freebie at home on Black Friday, so it doesn't surprise me.
This is a freebie, but I did see that the Chiefs have technically had the hardest schedule this year. I think based on like the records of the teams they've played this season. They have like one of the hardest schedules, which is crazy to think about.
Interesting.
All right.
Well, yeah, I got the Chiefs, and I think this is no-brainer. Raiders, they don't got enough,
No.
and we'll go from there. Next one, who I think is going to be very competitive.
This game's going to be awesome.
This game's going to be cool. Yeah, Chargers at the Falcons. It sucks we couldn't go to this game. It'd be kind of cool to watch
I had
this
the
game.
potential to go to this game, but I graduate in 2 weeks. It's crunch time for me. So I had to turn this one down.
This would be a really fun game to go to. But the Chargers, I know we talked about J.K. Dobbins now being hurt. Justin Herbert is still very good. We'll see if they can really – I mean, they haven't been able to pass the ball to really anyone but McCarthy these past couple games. And the Falcons are kind of – yeah, he's been decent tight end-wise. But the Falcons, too, are going – a couple weeks ago, it was, okay, their division's over. This is locked up. And now all of a sudden it's like –
the Bucs won?
You need to win some of these games that you're supposed to win, or else this is going to get really, really close
like
down to
we
the
said,
wire.
though, this is like they already beat the Bucs twice, so it's not as much of a necessity because the Bucs are the only team they have to worry about in the South, and as long as they finish with the same record as them, they win.
Yeah.
But
you've got to win these games.
For the playoffs, like just, in an aspect of wanting to go far in the playoffs, you should, like, this is a team that you might match up with, not literally because they're an AFC team, but a team of this skill level you will meet in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so if you can't beat them, it's not likely that you'll beat any other team like this.
And you're coming off of 2 weeks to prepare for it.
Yeah.
The Chargers are coming off of a short week now, and then playing on Monday night. Yep. So, and you're at home on Thanksgiving weekend.
They're traveling across the country.
Yes. So this is a big one for the Falcons. You've got to put this together. Maybe try to get some sacks because you still don't even have. I think you got 11 on the year. That's an average of 1 a game. Congrats. You still think you should have taken Jared Verse? See what he's doing on the Rams?
I saw some videos of Jared Verse from Sunday night just blowing up.
All-pro tackles, too.
All-pro tackle. Jordan Mailata was on his ass from Jared Verse multiple times.
But we didn't need him. The whole draft was no one was taking defensive players.
Michael Penix.
Yeah, so
Michael Penix.
Next one though, Steelers-Bengals, a huge divisional game. You just never know what happens in these division games across the league. Bengals are at home. I think that has something to do with it being Thanksgiving weekend. So I might give the slight edge to the Bengals. But the Steelers are coming off of a loss that they probably shouldn't have lost.
Oh, they're going to play pissed.
They're going to play against a team that they always play good against.
Loves playing Joe Burrow.
And Joe Burrow's O-line has not been the best this year, so it could smell a huge game for TJ Watt. I'm looking forward to this, though. These division games are awesome to watch.
I'm with you.
Next one, Cardinals-Vikings.
Another good one.
Did you see the what? The Seahawks posted it was a Call of Duty and it was like double XP and it was Kyler Murray dead, like laying in the middle of the map. That was so funny. But yeah, I mean the Cardinals were playing very good. They lost until last week where they just didn't. Yeah,
the Seahawks are in first place of that division.
Who would have thought that?
I think every team.
All the 49ers fans out there too. Your team sucks.
I won't say they suck. They're just they're hurt.
No, I'm sick and tired of the hurt
They're-
excuse. I'll give you that. Your D line, you lost. Yes, but
Debo Samuel's having he's
terrible
averaging
year.
career lows across the board in all of his stats. McCaffrey's obviously been hurt. Kittle's been good. Kittle's been Kittle. Offensive line has been blah.
they've just been a shell of what they have been the past couple of years.
Yeah.
After week 10, every team's hurt. So you can't say that anymore.
No, I know your starting quarterback gets hurt. That plays a huge role in things. Going into a division game in Lambeau, you've got your backup who's never started a game before. But come on now. We're all in the NFL. Figure it out. You got talent around you. That's just the way I look at it. Next one, Eagles-Ravens. This is a great game. It's
Game
really,
of the week
it's
for
really
me.
too
Best
bad
game of
this
the week.
one isn't on Thanksgiving or the Black Friday
you wanna
game.
know, this We should be getting this for Monday Night Football, but I think I don't know if this might be the week for the Simpsons cast, I think. Which is why they couldn't flex it out.
I see.
This game should have been primetime. Eagles at Ravens. This is the best game we get all week.
Yeah, this.
How do you even before the season started? How do you look at that and think, oh yeah, no, that'll be fine in the afternoon.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock game.
Yeah. On Thanksgiving weekend too, Black Friday, like all these spots to where we could have slotted them in.
That
4 o'clock.
God, that game's gonna be so good.
Yeah, this game's
That's
gonna be
gonna be the one I'm watching.
2 running backs who have dominated this year.
The two best running backs in the league. I got them both on one of my fantasy teams.
That's wild. Yeah, that's wild. For the people who are able to do that, you're probably sitting very pretty right now when it comes to fantasy.
I'm very happy.
Yeah. Next one, 49ers Bills. Sunday Night Football. We are picking this one in Buffalo. 49ers.
I don't even know if it doesn't matter if Purdy's playing. I think Bills.
Yeah, the Bills are going to win this one. The 49ers are playing like crap, like we mentioned. The Bills just come off beating the Chiefs. So Bills, I think, are a no-brainer at home Sunday night.
Yep.
That one's pretty easy. Last one, I am kind of a little excited about this one because I think Bo Nix has slotted himself into the Offensive Rookie of the Year heavily conversation. Like right now,
well, he's been playing not even like for the last 4 weeks. He's been outperforming Jaden Daniels, and Caleb is
And for the first couple weeks, Jaden Daniels outperformed him. So right now, I would literally say those are though they're tied right now. Whoever finishes the season, and if they're both probably going to lead their teams to the playoffs to a wild card spot. So that will be great to see. But Bo Nix is playing awesome. Like he's not making mistakes. He's got a lot of touchdowns, a lot of yards. Throwing to not some. I mean, he's got Cortland Sutton, and that's kind of it.
Vele, the rookie, tall.
I know
he's
he's
like
6'5". The other rookie from Oregon, the receiver Franklin.
But he's been dropping passes, Franklin.
Yeah,
they don't really have a tight end. Their running backs are Javonte Williams.
I will say their defensive line.
Well, their defense in general has been playing lights out, and their offensive line has been one of the best in the league all year long. Yes. And so those are two of the most important things you can have on a football team besides quarterback and head coach. Yeah, unless you're the Falcons. That's not necessary.
And then another, like we mentioned with the Browns are always fun to watch with Jameis Winston. We get to see him on primetime again, so you never know what he's going to say, what speech he's going to give.
The Broncos.
But I think the Broncos win this one as well at home.
Yeah.
To finish out this week, we have done, I know we post, if you haven't seen, go to our Instagram. We post our picks for the week, all these picks, and then we also have our player props. So for this week, we have decided, we told everyone that everyone is going to pick a player prop from Thanksgiving games.
Yep.
So
you can't pick the same player twice because we're doing it. We're going to put it in on Prize Picks.
Yes. So we asked everyone to pick kind of a different player. They're playing on Thanksgiving, so that's 3 games to pick from, 6 teams to pick from. So we figured like that was a good sample size of players. So my bet of the week for this week, Thanksgiving special, I am going Jameson Williams over 46.5 receiving yards because the Bears play a lot of zone defense. I expect Jalen Johnson to be on St. Brown most of the game, even though he does motion around a lot, so I can still see St. Brown getting some catches, getting some yards. I don't think he's going to get to his number of, I think his number was around 70, but I like Jameson Williams. I'm smelling a 70-yard Thanksgiving bomb to him down the sideline for a touchdown. I think that'd be great, but that's my bet of the week for our Thanksgiving special.
Same game, other side of the ball. I'm taking Rome Odunze over 44.5 receiving yards. I finally won a player prop last week. After Devontae Smith rolled out, I had to re-pick, so I picked Bo Nix passing yards over. Thank you, Bo. But yeah, Rome Odunze 44.5. He's been getting back-to-back games with 10 targets. And he's the Bears' leading receiver right now, surprisingly. I think, he gets fed the ball a lot. I think
they're going to have to pass the ball a lot.
Oh, yeah, they're going to have to pass the ball a lot. And with the Bears' offense, the Lions as a defense are going to have to put their top 2 guys on Keenan and DJ Moore. And outside of that, there's a drop-off for the Lions in that they have good corners, but you're going to have your 2 best guys on DJ and Keenan. And I think Rome, with the way he's been getting targeted, he's become sneakily a third down guy as well. I think 44.5 is kind of low for him. So I think he hits that.
Chris, if you had to pick one player prop this week for the Thanksgiving games, who are you going with?
I don't care the number. I'm going with Waddle. Waddle's been Tua's go-to guy. It doesn't matter what his yards are.
He was sitting around 40. He was sitting around 40, 45.
He's going to go 80.
80?
Go 80 yards.
They're going to have to pass it, keep up with the Packers.
Even though I realize it is snowing, but it doesn't matter.
Waddle. Sweet, good deal. Well, with that, we'll wrap up our Thanksgiving special of I75 Live. We hope all you guys have something planned with your family. Eat lots of food. Take a nap during the Giants game so you could stay up for the Dolphins-Packers game.
Yes.
That's probably what I'm going to do. But no, yes. I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving with all your family. Eat some turkey, eat some ham, whatever you guys. Follow social media. That's where we post all of our clips.
Yes.
And again, if you have any suggestions, any thoughts, keep the comments coming. We love it. We got a ton about Deion Sanders and him being coach and of the NFL and all that. So it's great. We love conversations, and this is kind of what we like doing this stuff for.
Yes, sir.
So yes, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and that will wrap up episode 18 of I75 Live. We'll see you guys next time.
Sir, it's been real, guys.